So I walk into the back. There's total silence. Mike had just dropped his comment. Jen, it was awkward. And then, so I walk in, and they look at this purple shirt I'm wearing, and they're like, "What the fuck, Mike?" Because I would wear t-shirts and so forth. And he's like, "Why would you dress like this?" Well, it's because my wife is here, so I just want to acknowledge her. If you could wave for her. That's my wife, Krista. You have to dress your best when you present with your wife in the room. Have you ever believed something to be true? I mean, totally believed it to be true, and then you realize it was a total lie? Anyone ever fall for something like that? Just raise your hand. Oh, half the room. So, the people that didn't raise your hand, did you ever believe in the tooth fairy? Yeah. I remember my mother saying, "Mike, as a child, there will be a stranger that will come into your room in the middle of the night. This woman will sneak into bed with you, take a body part of yours, and leave some hush money so you don't talk about it." And I'm like, "That's wonderful, Mom." Hook, line, and sinker. There's established beliefs that just perpetuate through society. You know, there was a time that mankind thought the world was flat. You remember from history class, I think third grade, they told us that mankind, we thought the world was flat. And if you went too far out in the ocean, you would fall off the edge of the planet. Well, around 500 BC, Greek philosophers challenged this notion. As the story goes, there's Greek philosophers sitting at a port watching boats come in and out of the ocean. The master philosopher sitting there with his apprentice, and he has like a pear or some fruit he's about to eat. And he notices on the pear there's a brown spot. So before he bites into it, he just turns the pear, and notices as he turns it, the brown spot disappears from his vision. So he turns it back, it reappears. Turns it away, it disappears. He looks out in the port, and he notices as the boat leaves out of port, it starts to sink down below the horizon. As a return, it comes back out of the horizon. He looks at his pear, he looks at the boat, and that's when the epiphany happens. He says to his apprentice, "Do you know what this means?" And you know, the apprentice very good. He says, "Yes, master, clearly." I don't know why he voice like that. "Clearly, sir. Clearly, sir. The world is not flat, as they say, it is round." And the master philosopher looks back at his apprentice and says, "No, you idiot! It's shaped like a pear." That was not hysterical. I worked there for years. It was hard. But it was 500 BC that Greek philosophers challenged the notion of a flat planet. Sadly, it took us 2,000 more years to accept this notion and actually leverage it. Christopher Columbus sailed the ocean blue in 1492, 2,000 years later. And global commerce exploded. What I want to share with you this morning is there's another belief we have, just as believable as a tooth fairy, just as damaging as believing there's a flat world. And what it is a foundational formula to profit. It's this. And I bet you every person in this room knows it. That your sales minus expenses equals profit, right? It's the foundational formula that we all live by. This is taught in thousands and thousands of shit. Right? This is taught in like thousands. Yes, he hates this. I like this. I'll take this home. So we're told that sales minus expense equals profit. And it's very logical, right? It's very logical. You need to have inbound cash flow to your business. You must incur the expenses to support your business and grow, and what's left over is profit. Is everyone here familiar with this formula? Right? Wonderful. I hate to say this. We have been taught a lie. This is a total freaking lie. Because here's what this tells us, is that sales and expenses come first, and what comes last is profit. And when something comes last, it simply means it's insignificant. Think of it. If someone in this room was rushed to the hospital today, the doctor examines you and says, "Wow, you had a heart attack. You need to stop drinking, stop smoking, and start exercising." We come out of the hospital saying, "You know what, starting, that got a cha-ching." Oh my God! I was like, I learned that I should stop smoking and drinking. I can't believe it. This is profound. You come out of the hospital, and you don't say, "You know what, starting today, I'm going to put my health last." You say, "Starting today, I'm going to put my health first." When something's important, it comes first. When something's insignificant, it comes last. The perpetual manana syndrome. And that's what we've been told with profit. That profit comes last. And for most businesses, for mine for years, I would wait till the end of the month, or the end of the quarter, or more often, honestly, the end of the year to meet with my accountant and see if there was any money. And there wasn't. I survived check by check. And I'd say, maybe next year. And I would kick the can of profit down the road for another 365 days. Can you guys relate to that? If you can't relate to that, there's a term for that. You're a human being, and we can work with this. Okay, so I was told to stop smoking, stop drinking, and I'm a fucking human. This is amazing! So, I met with my accountant. This is 10 years ago before I had the great epiphany. I meet with my accountant, and he reveals my profit and loss statement for my company. I was a computer network company. We install computer systems. We had technicians that would know how to do this stuff. And after 8 years of building this business and surviving check by check, for the first time in my life, there was a profit at the bottom, $15,000. He had circled in a big orange marker. He said, Mike, congratulations. And I don't know if you've had that moment where you meet with your accountant, you finally have a profit for a long time. It feels good. The butterflies are coming up and stuff. And then I asked the question that I regret asking. I said, Keith, where is this profit? Thank you for participating. He started laughing too. He did it more like an accountant. He starts snorting. You know, an accountant laughs and turns to snorting. He goes, he goes, that's an accounting profit. You don't have that money. You already spent it. And that was a dagger to my heart. What we're going to talk about today, what we're going to master, is what we as business owners and entrepreneurs define as profit. It is cold, hard cash at the end of every day, every quarter, every year, for you to use for your purposes. Did I do something wrong, Rob? I thought you were taking pieces away. Yeah, I really like that skull, actually. Can I take this? That's going on with me. So, okay. This is the formula we've been told to use. While logically this makes sense, what I want to explain is that behaviorally, this is horrible. What this tells us is to focus on this first and take this last. And I know it's logical, but it doesn't work for most of us. In fact, there was a study conducted by the SBE, Small Business Administration, identified that 83% of small businesses, that's a company that does $25 million in annual revenue or less, I suspect it's a lot of people in this room, it's absolutely my business, 83% of us are surviving check by check. 83% of us, if we don't get into significant sales this month, we're not going to be able to cover payroll, rent, equipment costs next month. It's constant panic survival. The solution is shockingly simple. What we're going to do is flip the formula. So, instead of sales minus profit equals expenses, here's what I want to challenge you to consider. Sales minus profit equals expenses. Actually, I just flipped the formula here. The old formula says sales minus expenses equals profit. What I did here is called a variable swap. I took the variable up top, put it down below, put the profit up here, I swapped it. Mathematically, logically, this is an identical formula that we've been following before. But behaviorally, this is a radical change. What I'm suggesting is starting today, that's going to keep throwing me off. Starting today, that every time you have a sale, you're immediately going to take a predetermined percentage of that money as profit. Hide it away from your business, and what's left over is what you run the business off of. This is the pay yourself first principle applied to entrepreneurship. We are going to reverse engineer profit. If you want to achieve 10% or 20% profit, whatever the number is, take it, and then your business will tell you how you have to run the business. Yeah, that was good. Yeah, that's better. Okay. Oh, it gets better. It gets better. It gets better, right? There are 4 principles to pulling this off. Now, normally I spend about an hour and a half to 2 hours explaining this, so we're going to move at hyper speed. But I want to start with the first principle. The first concept we're going to leverage, all behavioral-based concept, is the concept of small plates. But before we do this, I have 2 questions I need to ask you, and I ask that you're absolutely candid in responding to this. Question number 1, of the business owners in here, who has what's called a primary checking account? Let me define that. English, but let me define that. What I mean is that all your deposits go in there, and you pay all your bills from it. So if you have it, raise your hand, nice line. Quick survey, look around, almost every hand went up. Excellent, excellent. We can work with this. That's a normal behavior. Second question. Even though your accountant or bookkeeper may say, whatever you do, never look at your bank. Instead, check out your income statement, tie that to your balance sheet, your cash flow statement, know your KPIs, your budget, know these different metrics. Do you say, well, thanks for sharing that, but instead look at your bank balance? Do you look at your bank account and follow a real simple process like I do? I log into my bank account, and this is a simple system. If I have money, I can spend it. If I don't, I panic. Who can relate that? Who does that at least once a month, check your bank balance? Awesome, if you raise your hand. Once a weekers, by the way? Once a dayers? You're checking right now, I see. We're good. Okay. If you raised your hand, that is excellent. That means you're fond of natural, normal behavior of almost all entrepreneurs. What we need to do, if you ever want to have a successful outcome in something, there's two ways of achieving that. Break an existing habit that's preventing it from happening, and that is hard but doable. Or channel an existing habit, don't change it all, put a new system around you that'll get you where you want to go. We're going to follow the second method. I'm going to give you a system that allows you to continue to log into your bank accounts, continue to run your business like you do, but ensure permanent profitability in the next 40 minutes. Here's what we need to do. First concept we're going to do is use a concept of small plates. Quick question. Anyone here have teenage boys? So I apologize to you. I'm sorry to hear that. Because they're not called teenage boys, they're called creatures. Assholes. Okay. You're going to call them assholes. Okay. So we call creatures, my wife and I. And sometimes assholes.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Everything. Cha-ching. I have an asshole too. So what these creatures do is the food consumption. Yeah, right? It is ridiculous. We go through a box of Cheerios every hour at our house. Like the Cheerios guy just comes backing up and just dumps Cheerios in. And our two goons, what they do is they will put down the cereal bowl. They take the Cheerios, it flows out everywhere, crap everywhere, very carefully, like it's a Jenga tower. They assemble those Cheerios back up. Then they add the milk. The tower comes down, there's milk everywhere. They grab their bowl. They can't speak a single word of English. They're just like, wah, blah, blah. And they go walk away. Shit everywhere.
Get a bigger bowl.
No, get a bigger bowl. Actually, the solution is to get a smaller bowl. You see, we can change the outcome of something by leaving the existing behavior. I'm not going to be able to change my teenage boys. I don't know if you try to change your assholes, but this is super an asshole. We can change their behavior. If you try to change anyone else's behavior, good luck. We can change the system. Here's what we did in our house. All of a sudden, old Pop here got a little clumsy, knocked the bowl off, and it broke. And another one was lost and missing. And I took a quick drive down to the local convenience store and bought slightly smaller bowls. Those goons didn't even notice. They followed the same behavior. Weeks later, replaced again, and weeks later, replaced again. It took about 6 months, 4 iterations, but the bowls were now half the size. And those goons didn't notice a thing. Filled up Cheerios, crap everywhere, right? That's basically it. That's the most we've ever spoken to us. And we didn't go through a box of Cheerios every hour now. Now a box of Cheerios lasted a full day or a few days. The lesson here is that we need to change the size of the serving bowl for our business. If you have a primary checking account, like I asked you, all your money goes in there and all your money comes out of there, your business is eating off of one massive bowl. Now, think about Thanksgiving, just a few months ago, believe it or not. Thanksgiving, if you celebrated it, I presume you did it similar to how we do it. We hosted our house, the turkey comes out of the oven, people take their phones and say, oh, this is great for Instagram. You take pictures. But what happens next is my wife and I all say, hey everyone, just grab your knife and fork, stab into the turkey, everyone for themselves. Of course not. What we do then is carve the turkey so every guest at our table gets a portion. And I know that's how you celebrate it, because that's how we all celebrate it. This isn't true just for Thanksgiving. Any meal. You have a serving tray, a portion of the serving tray. It's not a mass attack on the serving tray. right? Everyone eats right off of that. So we are going to set up small plates for our business, small bowls, and a serving tray. And here's how it works. I want you, at your bank, to set up 5 accounts. I'll give you an explanation of what each one is. Profit, owner pay. Hey, Rob, is someone timing me here? Because I'm not tracking at all.
No.
Oh, great. I'm on my own. Okay. Tell my goes really fast. Okay. I don't know if you can see it from the back. Accounts are income, profit, owner pay, tax, and OpEx. These are accounts I want you to set at your bank. Checking, savings, it really is not relevant or important at this point. Just I want you to go set them up. Here's how it's going to function. Starting today, the income account is what's called a depository-only account. All the money, all the deposits from your business goes into the income account. Never spend a penny from it. It's going to be a serving tray. It's going to be a cash turkey. Okay? Then we're going to carve it up. We're going to allocate money to these remaining 4 accounts. First account is called profit. Does anyone here own public stock by any chance? Okay, by hand up. Chances are you've experienced quarterly profit distributions. I own Ford. It's not necessarily a stock tip right now, but I own Ford. I own 100 shares. It's not like something major. Last quarter, they sent us a check for $13.23. Thank you very much. Yeah. It's more than we get paid here, ironically.
You're welcome.
Probably. So I open the envelope and I pull out the check, and here's what I didn't do. I didn't say, I don't deserve this money. I should return it to Ford. I mean, listen, if all the shareholders of Ford would just return the money, we could build new buildings, we could invest in new engineers, we could make new cars, go Ford, go. And I didn't look at it and say, I guess I really should work for this. I need to drive over to Ford and put in my 5 minutes of work to earn this. No, I said this is for me because I took risk. The stock could go up, is what I'm hoping, or it could go down, which seems to be happening. So this is a reward to keep me engaged. That's what a profit account is. We're going to allocate money for the shareholder of the business. If you started the business, invest in the business, if you have equity in the business, you are a shareholder. You are going to receive money as a reward for doing what 97% of the world population will never do. Have the courage and a little bit of the insanity to start a business. The fact that you did it is the reward for being a shareholder. It doesn't require your work or effort. It requires you to take the biggest risk that happens with so few people starting a business. The next thing is called owner's pay. How many people here, just raise your hand if you have employees at your company? Okay. I'll pick on you, sir, the blue, because we have a rapport going back to kids. What's your name, by the way?
Steven.
Steven, Mike, nice to meet you. Where are you from?
Winnipeg County.
Winnipeg, okay. Woo! Okay, good. There's one open up here. All right, awesome. So, Steve, are any of your employees here?
Yeah, right behind me, the one that yelled.
So this is going to be awkward. Here's what Stephen, of all your employees, including just give me the name of your best employee.
Kevin.
I understand. Okay, so Kevin.
Thank you for walking me down there.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, exactly. I put you in a very awkward position. It's going to get worse. Here's the deal, Stephen. We've never met before. I'm not like a magician. I've never visited your place. You don't know me from Adam.
I've seen you speak here before.
But you've seen me before. So you probably know this. You know I'm going to call bullshit on you. That I actually know that Kevin, I hate to say this, probably not the best employee. I bet you are, Stephen. And here's why I believe it to be true. Tell me if this definition is accurate. I believe, Stephen, you for your own company have worked ridiculous hours. Perhaps you can still maintain that schedule. I suspect you sacrifice time with your family, maybe going on vacations occasionally, but doing work vacations where you're just working through it. I suspect you're the best sales representative for your business. You know inside out better than anyone else. I bet you know how to operate the business better than anyone else. And I bet you do all those things at times. You've done it for no money, a little. Is that true?
Early on, yeah.
Yeah. That is the definition of the greatest employee. Now, here, I'm just going to flip to Kevin. If Kevin would do that, that would be pretty remarkable. Kevin, I want you to be the best salesperson. I want you to work your tail off. Screw your family. Leave your family now. And you get, the best part is you're not going to get a single penny to earnings. You're not going to pay you anything.
Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Sure.
So I don't know if this says it's sounding good, but it did to it. Yeah, that's a Canadian term, but I love it. I love it.
Say hi.
Oh, it's hot. They say hi in Canada. Okay.
We're in New Jersey.
New Jersey's like, yeah.
I got one 3 minutes down the freeway in my rental car, so perfect. I thought he was saying that.
All right, the comedy routine's over. It's back to me. All right, he's not funny. He's always going to take that mic. So here's the deal, Stephen. In all honesty, having fun with you, is that you are the best employee for your company. You do extraordinary things. But if Kevin was asked the same, of course you would leave. Instead, actually, Kevin has the golden handcuffs. Congratulations, Kevin. You can go to Stephen and say, you know what? I am your best employee. I know I work my tail off. I need an extra week's vacation paid this year because I want to see my family. Is there any way we can work it out? And we as the owners have to say, oh, okay. And we work it out. It's called the reverse golden handcuffs. The problem that happens, and hopefully it's not happening to you now, Steve, when we started out the business, if we're not paying ourselves, it's just a matter of time before we start to resent the business. I mean, I don't know for you, with my own companies, I remember covering payroll, refinancing our house, doing whatever it took to support my employees, but not myself. And it took me 2 or 3 years for my first business before I hated it. It took me about a year after I started my second company before I hated it because it wasn't rewarding me. So what we're going to do for you, Stephen, and listen, I'm not picking on Stephen, I'm picking on all of us because this is the entrepreneur's journey. We sacrifice the crap out of ourselves. We start to protect our business. So what we're going to do is reserve money for the best employee in the room, which inevitably is the owner of the business. You've got to recognize that we got to pay the tax account. I suspect you started a business for one of 2 reasons, hopefully both. One, I hope you're passionate about what you're doing and you recognize how you're serving people. Secondly, I hope you started for financial freedom. Well, the definition of financial freedom is when tax time comes, you don't have to worry about taxes, right? Financial freedom is not worrying about money. The business will worry for us. April 15th is the hot time in the U.S. How many times have you been caught with your financial pants around your ankles? Panic. I'm like, how much? Do you want to kill your account? What we're going to do is have the business reserve your tax liabilities for you and pay them for you. And I don't care if you're an LLC, sole proprietorship, S Corp, C Corp, hybrid, LLP, or whatever you have, every business can reserve the taxes for the owners and pay the taxes. The last account is called OpEx. That stands for operating expenses. This is what we run the business off of. This is what the business runs off of. What we have done is reverse engineer profitability. Some of you may start recognizing the system. Has anyone ever heard of the envelope system? Yeah. You're never going to raise your hand against it. You hate me so much. See, just do this. No. Yeah, I totally get it.
Next time you again, I'm good.
No, you're terrified of me now, actually. So the envelope system, if you're not familiar with it, this is a system that actually my mother, who's from Germany, implemented when we were children in our house. And perhaps if you raise your hand, someone in your family introduced you to it. What it is my mother worked at a local business called Lenzo, it was like a factory of many years. When she worked part-time, she would come home, cash in her check, and divide that check up into different envelopes. One was the envelope for the mortgage that my mother and father would pay for. One was for the to give back to the community or the church. Another one was for food and so forth. And what she'd do is when she went food shopping, she would grab her food envelope, get her car, drive to the food store, and go food shopping. And she always had enough money to buy food. Now, I don't want you to confuse that with having the same amount of money, because she had variable income. Sometimes she'd work overtime, there'd be more money, so more is divided. Other times, less money, less divided. So when there wasn't much money in there, it was a simple meal, rice and beans or something. When there was a lot of money, just know my mother was German, it was liverwurst. If you don't know what that is, the translation to English is disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. It's liver sausage, okay? All right. This is the envelope system for our business. I understand you've variable income. We're going to divide money up based upon percentages, and the envelope here will tell you what to run your business off of. In fact, everyone got a copy of my book, I believe. So in there is a chart based upon different size businesses you have. But I'll give you an example. If you have a business that does about $2 million in revenue, our company studied about 1,000 different businesses, different industries. The fiscally elite, the financially healthiest companies that are doing around $2 million in revenue are generally doing about 10% profit. 10% of the money is going to owners' pay, 15% is going to taxes, and the remainder, think it's 65, 67, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, 65% is going to operating expenses. So what this means in execution is that $2 million comes in. This business, there is a bonus check, profit distribution, cash reward to the owners of the business because you had the courage to build this business, take on major risk. You're getting a $200,000 bonus check. You're also taking home $200,000 in earnings and pay. By the way, if you take home that kind of money, you will have a monster tax bill. So the business will pay that $300,000 for you, and the remainder, 357, which is $1.3 million, is what you have to run the business off of. And when I tell people this, they start thinking I am crazy. This guy is an idiot. No one in our industry does this. He doesn't know anything about home services. And who is this guy? Do you know home services is so competitive, we're on such razor-thin margins that we actually lose money on every transaction. We just make it up on volume. Wait, no one got that joke. Okay. It was hysterical when you think about it. It's right there. It was very funny. Oh, you lose money every time, but the more you do it, oh, you lose more money! I get it. Okay. We're going to allocate money like this. And I understand some businesses in here probably have zero profit. Actually, 83% of businesses have no profit at the end of the year. So I'd expect the majority of us don't take a bonus check at the end of every quarter, every year. I bet you some of us in this room are paying ourselves less than this. I bet you a few people haven't achieved these numbers or better. I bet you most of us haven't. I bet you most of us have never had the business pay our taxes for us. And that's why this becomes somewhat unbelievable. What I want to share with you, I think the most important thing I can share today is a behavioral concept that if you understand this, you understand the management of money, in fact, the management of any resource you have, anything. It's called Parkinson's Law. I'm already started explaining when I talk about cereal bowls. There was a theorist in the 1950s named Northcote, that was his first name, for real, Northcote Parkinson. He studied what's called the supply and demand curve, an established belief or axiom. And perhaps you're already familiar with the supply and demand curve. It works like this. In traditional economics, they say the more demand there is for something, the more supply will appear. The more your customers want a certain service that we provide, the more you'll try to provide that service and the more competitors will show. It makes logical sense. Well, this guy, Parkinson, looks at this and says, yes, it makes logical sense because it doesn't make behavioral sense. It's not how we behave. He said, in fact, for most of us, it's the reverse. He goes, supply, not demand, supply dictates demand. What he's saying is, the more available something is, the more we consume of it. And we already talked about the cereal bowls. The bigger my Monster's cereal bowls were, the more those goons ate. So if I restrict the supply, he pointed out, as you reduce the supply, the availability of something, the demand here has to decrease because there's less supply. So his point was simply that supply dictates demand. And when supply gets constrained, the less available something is, the less we'll consume of it because we have to. Forced frugality, they call it. But also innovative thinking kicks in. How do we wring out what's left and available? How do we get the most out of what we do have? I want to share a story because this will land with you tonight. Everyone's going to experience Parkinson's law. It's wired into every human being on this planet. Tonight, when you get ready for bed, I want you to think of me. Yeah, this is all right. I know. That's all right. Yeah, I give myself a chance for that. You know what I'm supposed to do? Like, you're just sitting there back there, you're going nuts, Mike. I want you to think of me tonight, when you're ready for bed, specifically. I want everyone to think of me when you go to bed, except for you. When you go to bed tonight, you're ready to brush your teeth. Here's what I want you to think of. Parkinson's law. Because there's one of two scenarios that's going to happen tonight. Scenario number one is you're going to walk into your bathroom, or I don't know if you may stay in a hotel locally here, one of these New Jersey hotels. You pull out your toothbrush. I don't know why you're so cocky about it. That's how you roll. You pull out your toothbrush. You open the toilet paper bag. You take out that brand new tube of toothpaste. That's scenario one. And so what do? You put this on. And I don't know if you notice the water pressure here in New Jersey. It is redonkulous. If you turn on some of these faucets here, the water will shoot out like that. Your toothpaste is flying across the room. And you're like, who cares? and you grab your new tube of toothpaste and put it on there and start brushing away. That's scenario 1 for tonight. Scenario 2 that's going to happen to someone in this room.
Barely got any.
It's going to be that twisted up, gnarled, prune-like, yeah. Here's what's going to happen. It's probably going to happen to you, sir. You pull out the toothbrush, you're all ready, you open it. Oh my God, I totally forgot to get new toothpaste. That shriveled up, prune-like, gnarled tube is there. So what happens? You become Hercules. Right? The power you can garner, you didn't even know you had this. You're like, right? And the face turns beet red, and you're, come on! You didn't even know you had a vein here, right? That vein is all of a sudden just pulsing in the mirror. So you start twisting, you leverage the knee pit, all these different things. One guy in Mexico, I was in Mexico, he said, oh, in Mexico we have a simple solution. We put it in the door jamb, we start slamming the door against it. Genius. Someone in this room will experience the turtle head of toothpaste moment tonight. That's where you gotta do that double thumb grip, right? You're like, okay, no brush, I'm done with the brush. We're just getting toothpaste out somehow. It's happening today. I'm a CEO fucking warrior, right? And you put both thumbs behind that tube of toothpaste as we start to grind down, right? Come on, right? You're pushing so hard, and all of a sudden, with this strength of mustard, the turtle head starts coming out. Right? And you're like, oh, I got you, baby. Oh, come to Papa or Mama. Or both, if that's the way you go. And then the only way to extract the toothpaste is with that quick, gazelle-like reach to your toothbrush. So you're like, yes! And just when you do that, the turtle head's like, somehow, miraculously, some twisting gnarls, you take the back end off, you extract one little droplet of toothpaste on one bristle hair, and you're like, that's all I wanted. You start brushing away. Since you are laughing, I know you've lived it. You've lived it. And if you've lived it, I want you to understand you are the walking human definition of Parkinson's law. Our behavior will radically change to meet the supply in front of us. We can leverage this. It happens every time. It happens off that subconscious level. You don't think about it, you just do it. Well, what we're going to do is restrict money into your business. And Parkinson's law is going to be your biggest ally. We are intentionally going to serve up an empty tube of toothpaste here. And miracles will happen. You will find ways to be more innovative than ever before. And I believe if you started your business, you've already done this. I don't know how you got to here, but if you started off at zero, you did some crazy stuff back then. And we're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to allocate money here. The remainder we get to run your business off of. And I know what's going to happen because I've implemented this myself 9 years ago. I've been living with it for 9 years. The first time I couldn't pay my bills because the stack of bills are piled up. I looked at this and said, this system's not working. I found this. There's a golden lesson. When there's not enough money here to pay your bills, that's your business speaking to you. If you can't pay your bills, you can't afford your bills. There's only 2 ways to resolve it. Cut unnecessary costs where you're not deriving benefit and extract more value of what you are getting benefit from, and increase margins. Dictate a bigger premium. Find a way to charge more. So cut unnecessary costs, increase margins. If you can't pay your bills, you can't afford your bills. Last example, so I really want to drive home how powerful this concept is. There was a movie dedicated to Parkinson's law, or not dedicated to, but focused on it. It was called Apollo 13. Anyone ever seen Apollo 13? Okay, awesome movie. It was the 3rd lunar landing module attempt by the U.S. This was invoked by Sputnik. The Russians set up this satellite. The U.S. responded, we're going to put it in the moon. And Apollo 13 was the 3rd attempt. Now, if you saw this movie, it's the true story. And what happened was these 3 astronauts launch off from Houston, where they took off from. Pristine takeoff. This is absolutely perfect. Everything's beautiful. It's a beautiful day. But 3 minutes into it, calamity strikes. There's a major malfunction, and they decide they have to jettison as much fuel as possible, or this ship's going to explode. As a result, they're going up, and they're losing fuel, And they radio down to Houston and say, what do we do? And Houston's in this panic. They say, we don't have enough fuel to turn you around. Literally, we cannot bring you back to Earth. The engineers scramble and they figure out this great idea. We're going to use the moon's gravitational pull to slingshot you back to Earth. We have just enough fuel to turn you like this. We're going to align you with the moon and come back to Earth. Sure enough, they start coming around. It is a miracle. And then the next calamity strikes. If you remember the movie, true story, it's happening in real life. You're coming around the moon, the astronauts notice that their oxygen is starting to drop at a terrifying rate. The carbon dioxide filtration system had failed. They call down to Houston and say, what do we do? We have about 5 hours of oxygen and 24 hours to return. The next scene in the movie, the next scene in reality, the lead engineer grabs his cardboard box. Remember this? Walks in front of all the other engineers, dumps this stuff out spills duct tape, toothpaste perhaps, wire. It was the junk that was on that shuttle. He looks at the engineering team and says, ladies and gentlemen, we have 5 hours to build an oxygen creation system out of this stuff. Get to it. And they did. Those engineers developed an oxygen creation system out of duct tape and toothpaste and wire to save those astronauts, brought back to our planet for real. Here's the backstory that many of us don't know. NASA spent about $40 million of U.S. taxpayer money, so that's everyone except for Steve. Now I'm talking about you. Everyone in the U.S. Our money, except for Steve. Our money went to NASA, and NASA spent $40 million figuring out how to build a carbon dioxide oxygen creation system. When those same engineers that developed the first one, they were given no time, no money, and just duct tape and toothpaste, they figured out how to make the same solution. Now, listen, I'm not sitting here saying, oh my God, all this time they make rocket ships out of metal, they should make them out of duct tape and save the money. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is that rocket scientists, arguably the smartest people on the planet, they are rocket scientists. Rocket scientists live by Parkinson's law. When you give them $40 million, they figured out the solution at $40 million. When they're giving nothing, they figured it out. What if they're only giving $20 million, or 15, or 10? Would they figured it out? I bet you they would have. And I know you will too. So when we restrict the amount of money available here, you will find a solution because innovative thinking has to kick in. Thank you. Thank you. Now it's awkward. Now it's not awkward. You're just followers, all right? All right. Step number two. Step number two is the sequence, called the behavioral sequence. It's important that you do these allocations this way. Now, I hope you notice you don't have to change a thing about your behavior. You told me you log into your bank account to see what your balance is. Awesome. The best thing you can do. We're changing the system, we're not changing you. These accounts are set to your current bank. Keep logging into your current bank and checking your balances. Perfect. But now, since money is allocated to different purposes, you know its intended use before you spend a penny. This is to reward the shareholders, this is to reward the owner-operator, this is to take care of financial freedom, this is to operate the business. You know before you spend. But the next step I want you to do is when you log into your bank account, even if you have a bookkeeper account, initially as the business owner, I want you to do this allocation for a period of time because you'll get a behavioral response. What we're going to do is money's in the income account. Like I told you, on a periodic basis, we allocate out. I want you to do the allocation because the first thing you're going to do is allocate money to profit. We always do it in the sequence. Pay profit first, then orders pay, and so forth. I realize these are just percentages, it's all pieces or wedges of the same pie, so why does the order matter? Behaviorally, it matters a lot. Because when you first allocate money toward profit of your business, you will have an endorphin release. It's called a reward mechanism. You put money into your business, into your profit, you say, well, gosh, I have a cash profit accumulating here. Oh, reward, endorphin release. Then you do the next thing. You pay yourself. Hey, I took care of an important employee, the most important employee, myself. It gets rid of resentment. It's a reward mechanism. So it's reward. Then you allocate money for taxes to pay the government, which notably is not a reward. That's more of a protection mechanism. I don't know if you've ever been in a situation where you couldn't afford to pay your taxes. I asked my accountant when I was in that position where I had no money for taxes. I said, what happens if you don't pay them? He did his last snort. He was good to jail. Yeah. So, you gotta pay your taxes, or go on something worse than going to jail, go on an installment plan. So this is a reward, protect mechanism. So reward, protect, and the final account that we allocate to is OPEX that serves the business. Reward, protect, and serve. Reward, protect, and serve. It is a behavioral mechanism of building confidence and strength if you take your profit first. The third step is, what's this? What do you do with this?
Take it home.
You have to take it home. I like that answer. All right, I'll take it home. I didn't see that. That was cool. Oh, it's actually pretty interesting tip. All right, so here's the next thing. So whatever bank you're currently with, this is what we call this Bank 1, okay? So this is Bank 1. Here is going to be Bank 2. What we're going to do is remove temptation. I don't know what your temptation is. I have a few. Admittedly, chocolate chip cookies is probably my biggest temptation. I cannot resist it. And our daughter sometimes will come home and eat these chocolate chip cookies, and I'll play the same stupid game over and over. No, I shouldn't. I'm preparing for athletic events with my sons. I really shouldn't. And I'm like, but one cookie won't hurt, me. And then 1 turns into 2, which turns into 10,000, which turns into loathing myself. The only way to prevent consumption of something we shouldn't be consuming is not have it available in the first place. The best way for me not to eat chocolate chip cookies is to not have them in the house. So they're not. Or my wife is hiding them somewhere, but I can't find them. And I've looked. What we need to do with this money is we need to hide it from ourselves. If we start allocating money to a profit, I know the moment's going to happen because it happened to me relentless in the beginning. I wouldn't have enough money to pay bills. I would look at my profit account and say, oh, I got some money here. I'll just borrow from myself to cover bills. I have to. And then I would never pay myself back. If you ever feel tempted to borrow from your profit account, let's rename this from profit to Peter. We'll name this one Paul. Yeah, thank you. Because we're saying that. Thank you. That's my side thing. We work together. We're going to steal from Peter to pay Paul is all we're going to do. So we need to remove the temptation. I want you to find a second bank. And I want it to be inconvenient, inaccessible. Because what we're going to do is we're going to set 2 accounts here. One we're going to call the profit hold. One we're going to call the tax hold. And as money accumulates in those 2 accounts, because they're going to be sitting there for a period of time, we're going to invoke a transfer of this money over from Bank 1 to Bank 2. And then when you transfer this out, these accounts go back to 0, profit goes to 0, tax goes to 0, owner pay goes to you, OPEX goes to serving the business. I was teaching this concept now about 6 years ago in New York City to a group of entrepreneurs at the very similar size group to this. At the very end, one guy comes up to me, he says, I want to talk to you, okay? He says, I have an $8 million business. By the way, at this point, I hope you don't care about revenue ever again. It doesn't mean anything. What matters are these numbers. So I said, okay. I said, tell me the truth though, what's going on financially? We lost about $500,000 last year. Okay, how was the year before? He's like, oh, it was even worse, we lost $800,000. Like, okay. He's like, I'm up to in debt like this, I've maxed out all my loans and credit cards. He's like, I am dying. He goes, I'm gonna try your system. Not because I believe it. In fact, I'm extremely skeptical. I'm gonna do it because I am desperate. And I actually don't even expect you to believe the system will work for you. I expect skepticism because I felt that way too. I'm going to show you a way to overcome even perhaps your own skepticism. Peter did it because he was desperate. And what he did was he found a second bank. He called me, I actually spoke with him this morning. Peter called me about a month after setting this up, and I wanted to share his story about how to remove temptation. He found a second bank. He's in New York City, he found one here in New Jersey, which even though we're separated by a river that's not even a quarter mile wide, getting across that river through the Lincoln Tunnel takes about 4 hours. So it's a long drive, sometimes. He found a bank in New Jersey that was far away from him. And that's the first lesson. Find a bank that is out there, that is a distance drive. Because when you drive there, I'm going to call this the drive of shame. If you're going there for any other reason besides rewarding yourself, I want you to think long and hard about it. Peter found the second bank. He walks in. He used a line that I encourage you to use when you find your second bank. He went to the teller and said, I would like to store money at your bank. Please use that exact line when you approach your bank. I'd like to store money here. Because I don't know if you know this, tellers have a red button here if there is a thief, someone's about to rob the bank. There's a green button for if someone says I'm going to store money in your bank, apparently. Because as he said, I can store money here, all of a sudden the bank manager comes running out, he's fixing his tie, he's like, oh, wow, thank you for coming to the most convenient bank in America. His exact words. Peter looks at him and he says, well, what do you offer? And the manager's like, oh, we do everything for your convenience. ATM cards, online accounts. We have starter checks. There's a guy there in a limo that we rent who drives cash just around town all day. Peter says, it's so funny you're the most convenient bank in America because I've been looking for the most inconvenient bank in America. I don't want starter checks, online banking, no ATM card. He said, I want to deposit my money in here and never be able to access it unless I drive 4 hours to come to this bank in person and you, bank manager, have to write me a cashier's check. He said, and before you write that check to me, slap me in the face a few times to make sure I really want this money. That's inconvenience. Make it inaccessible. One last story about this. We set up a system with our children. We started to share, actually, we share money with my kids for two occasions. One, when we had the profit distribution, we agreed that my wife and my children, they've all invested in this business, not by acting in the business, but giving me the freedom to work on the business. Second time I give my children money is when I play poker. I found it's an amazing mechanism. I used to leave to play poker with my friends and my wife and my kids, like, where are you going? When I would share the winnings, they're like, when are you going to play poker again? So a little behavioral, it's true. It's a little behavioral trick. But our youngest son, Jacob, at the time was 6 years old. The first time we did this, we had our first profit distribution, and everyone got a small piece of it, including our 6-year-old son, Jake. He was in kindergarten, having on quarter one. On the second quarter, my youngest son, my 6-year-old, comes to me and says, hey, Daddy, how's Q2 looking? Q2! That's enforcement. That's a great mechanism. He held me accountable to it. So maybe share some of the proceeds with people that will hold you accountable to it. But the key lesson here is to remove temptation. Remove temptation. When we're starting to wrap up, so I want to share one final story about remove temptation. I was presenting on this in Idaho. I have the blessing to travel all over. As an Idaho, speaking to a group there, talk about this concept of removing temptation. As I'm talking about my addiction to chocolate chip cookies, one of the entrepreneurs, this woman picks the phone up in the back, she makes a call, and I get it. I mean, if business presents itself, we got to jump on it, even during a presentation. That's cool with me. After a minute, she just hangs up and says, okay, thank you, hangs up. 15, 20 minutes later, the door over there gets kicked open, and this guy walks in with one of those Velcro closing pizza oven boxes, you know, those red things. He comes walking in like Frankenstein, and I'm like, what is going on here? This woman says, oh, I heard that. So he starts Frankensteining for her. She goes, it's for the speaker guy. And he's like, okay. So the whole event basically stops. He puts down the pizza oven box, opens it up, out pulls, not steaming pizza, chocolate chip cookies on the stage. I'm like, are you effing kidding me? I just told you my addiction and then you put it in front of me? What if I said I'm addicted to cocaine? As an aside, I did that joke in Miami, it fell flat. It fell really flat. Okay. Remind you guys, I totally get it. So profit hold, remove temptation. The fourth and final lesson here that we're going to do is we're going to get to a rhythm. We're going to call it the 10-25 rhythm. And it's real simple. What I want you to do is every 10th and 25th of the month is go through the allocation process. Today is what, 8th, so the next trigger day will be the 10th, 25, 10, 25, and it looks something like this, 10, 25, and so forth. What happens is money, like I told you, flows into our serving tray. That's the income account. So money flows in here. You never eat off the serving tray. We're going to carve it up. Well, today's 8th. Money will flow into the income account. It just sits here. So this is the income account. Money flows in today, we just let it sit there. Tomorrow, some more money flows in, a little more money flows in. On the 10th, all the money in the income account, every penny is allocated out in the sequence based upon percentages. Income goes back to 0. Then, from the 10th, 25th, money accumulates, goes back to 0. Money accumulates, goes back to 0, and you get this pattern that can look something like this. Why we do the 10-25 rule is that we allow the money to accumulate, and very quickly by doing the same behavior you've told me you already do, you log into your bank account, see what the balance is, you will know on these trigger days what the expected income is. You may say, every 10th and 25th, I expect, say, $50,000. I don't know what it is, but $50,000. You will notice that some months you have or some periods, you have $75,000 in there. These are good periods. Other times, they'll be $10,000 or zero or woefully short. The benefit of this is when there's an anomaly from what you expect, it is a trigger to take an action. You see a high point or low point, call your accountant or bookkeeper and say, what happened? Do we have more collections, more sales? Let's do more of this. Are our clients not paying us? Are sales slipping? Let's fix this. I don't know if you know how to read a cash flow statement. I sure as hell don't. And I question if my accountant even knows how to read the cash flow statement, quite frankly. But I do know how to log into my bank account and just see what I normally expect. And by getting this rhythm of twice a month, you will see what your normal in-down cash flow is into your income and see when it is an anomaly from there. The reason we use from the 10th to 25th, by the way, is that all the money allocates on those days. That means your OPEX account will be funded on the 10th and 25th. You can pay your bills only from this account on the 10th and 25th, which means they'll arrive. The 10th will arrive on the 15th, 25th at the end of the month. You'll be in a rhythm of paying your vendors on time. But more importantly, you'll have an understanding for your cash flow. The last part of the rhythm, though, is the 90-day rule. And here's the magical day. Every 90 days, we're approaching, we're about halfway through Q1 right now. Money's been piling up in this profit hold account. At the end of every quarter, that money in the profit hold is now going to come out to you, the shareholders of the business. And I suggest, by the way, not taking 100%. I take about half the money because we want to build cash equity, a reserve for an extreme, extraordinary emergency. But half that money comes out. And the golden rule of profit is this. You use it to celebrate, to reward yourself. And when I got that check from that Ford company, from Ford, for $13, that was a reward to me. And this is the exact same thing. You don't push it back or plow it back or reinvest in your business. If you're taking your profit and putting it in reinvesting in your business, it was never profit. You called it that. It felt good. It was an expense. Money comes out to reward the shareholders. When we started this, the first few rewards were maybe a dinner out. Recently, it was a trip to Italy, Ireland. Oh, yeah, surprise, we're going to Italy. Yeah. Trip to Ireland, right? A hot tub. The business is rewarding us and celebrating us. And I'll tell you, the first time I took the first profit distribution, it was the smallest, but it was the biggest celebration. The first time my company gave me a check, it was $7 and change. And I went to the local Starbucks for $7. I had the nicest chai tea of my life because my company had paid for it in cash. It was unbelievable. And now I've taken in my own business, we're at 38 consecutive quarters of profit distributions. We're just growing and growing and growing. Thank you. Thank you. I'll tell you what we should applaud for is when you implement the system, and we meet again in a few years. I beg of you to try it. But here's the problem. I present this now all over the world. I was in Copenhagen, this is about 4 or 5 years ago, and had an epiphany. I taught this exact system to them. There's 1,000 people in the room, small business owners. I opened up by asking them who monitors their bank accounts and all these different things. They answered the exact same way we did. Who's surviving check by check? Almost all the hands went up. The problems we have as entrepreneurs in the US or North America is the same question anywhere on the planet. I teach them the profit first system. I'm all jacked up for it. This was the best ever. And hey, Mike, can we have you back next year to do the advanced stuff? I'm like, yeah. So 4 years ago, I returned to Copenhagen. I come back to the exact same 1,000 people in the audience. I said, hey, who saw me last year? All the hands go up. Then I say, hey, who's doing profit first? You told me you needed this. How's it going? Who's doing it? And that's when the moment happened, when everyone had to start taking notes. Everyone's like, oh. Don't make eye contact with the speaker. Just pretend you're taking notes, right? One woman looks between your fingers and starts dry heaving at me. and did I get a ring on a dry heave? I am just fucking taking this. That's all. I gotta be rewarded somehow. That's going.
Yo! Flip the statue back.
That's too much? You hear my answer? All right. I will put it back for you, sir, because you do it to me. So, it's all about beard size. I'm like, I got a little beard. Oh, he's got a big beard. I will put that back. And honestly, I don't know if you know the bit. I'm not taking any of this crap home. So,
Do you call my statue crap?
oh, here we go. Does he really want to go? Yeah, he doesn't want to go. Let me finish my story, all right? Here's how it works. I'm in Copenhagen, and I'm like, are you kidding me? You're not doing this? Like, 1,000 people in the audience. Why aren't you sending me this? You're not doing it. I start yelling at the audience. Which, by the way, if everyone here aspires or is a professional speaker, tip number one, don't yell at the audience. And I get all jacked up, and then I realized the epiphany of epiphanies. I said, oh my gosh, I've been teaching the system wrong. And I've actually excluded one critical part of the system for you. You see, what I was teaching was the entire system. You learn everything. This is the entire system. Except, it's the entire system. You see, if you're preparing, say, for a marathon, the very first day of practice preparing for a marathon, the one thing you don't do is run a marathon. The very first day of practice, you learn how to stretch a proper running form. You start slowly. That's the key. There was a study conducted in a book that I encourage you to explore called Decisive, written by Dan Heath and Chip Heath. They wrote Made to Stick, perhaps you've heard of that, and some other books. But in Decisive, they studied the behavior of business owners. And in there, they conducted a study around raising the bar. The BHAG, perhaps you've heard of that, big, hairy, audacious goal, the 10X factor, how bad do you want it? They said, what if more people had success not by raising the bar, but by lowering the bar? And they went on to do a study. They took 200 people that were looking to get cardiovascularly fit, they split them into two groups, trying out this new test. Half the group, 100 people here, they gave the raise the bar solution, and this half, the test group, the lower the bar. So these people came in the room, the researchers are there, and they go to this group, hey, you want to get cardiovascularly fit? And the group's like, yeah, I want it so bad, I want it. Great. All you need to do, and the standard regimen is this, run 3 miles 3 days a week. Because if you can achieve that, you'll achieve strong cardiovascular fitness. And they yell at the group, go, how bad do you want it? The group's like running out, we got this. Here's my guy Galera doing that part. The other side, it was Jennifer actually doing this part, was the researchers looked at this group and asked the same question. Why are you here? Like, we want to get cardiovascularly fit. They said, how bad do you want it? We want it so bad. They said, before we give you your exercise regimen, we have one question. Go in the bar. They said, do you guys like to watch television? And the group was like, yeah. One guy said, I love Modern Family. Right? And researchers say, do you sit on the couch when you watch television? And they're like, yeah, how did you know? Are you inspired? Everyone says like that. They then said, are you willing to stand instead of sit when you watch television? That's your cardiovascular regimen. And the group's like, okay. And they go walking out. 2 weeks later, they came back with this experiment. 2 weeks into it, same group, the control the test. Let's look at the control first. They come in and they say, how are you guys doing? They're like, oh, we're okay. It was already 78% of the people who had failed to maintain this. Of the remaining 22 people, one guy had a heart attack. So the researchers never raised the bar. They said, you're the last 22. Go, push yourself. And they're like, okay, we got this. And they go running out of the room. This group came back 100% success rate. We talk about lower the bar. Stand on the couch, that's below the Earth's crust low. This group comes back and says, oh, it's a no-brainer. They said, hey, now you're standing in front of the couch, here's the new exercise regimen. Would you really willing to march in place when the television shows are on? And the group's like, yeah, lower the bar. They came back a month later, 100% failure rate. And I'll tell you, if you're not currently cardiovascular fit, try running 3 miles 3 days a week for the next month and see how you do. Just don't have a heart attack. But someone just painted actually. Something fell. Massive failure rate on raising the bar. This group came back with now marching in front of the couch, and they had a 98% success rate. Which just begged the question, that means two guys were sitting there and said, hold on, did he say march in front of the couch or sit back on my fat lazy ass? I think I can't remember. Two guys failed. Continued experiment. This group is done. This group, and they say, now you're marching in front of it when you do calisthenics while you're watching television. That became running around the block during commercial breaks. It took 6 months. And they were running 3 miles 3 days a week, and they had a 54% success rate. The majority of people succeeded by lowering the bar, and everyone failed by raising the bar. That's the part I've been missing here. I've told you how to run the marathon, but I'll tell you, if you go in tomorrow and start running the marathon, you're going to injure yourself, hurt your business, and say, this is bull, this doesn't work for me. I do have one thing. My final thought for you is this. I set the bar so low, you're warriors after all. I set the bar so low that by the end of today, or Monday, if you got to travel back home, you will have permanent profitability in your business. That's my guarantee to you. It'll take 2 steps. But before I reveal these 2 steps, I don't want the bullshit. No, I'm going to do this because I have to raise my hand because everyone else is. If you're really in for doing what I'm about to tell you, raise your hand, but I am going to hold you effing accountable. Punch you fucking down. All right, who's in? Okay. Look at your hand and realize this is a true commitment you're making here. This isn't like, no, I raised my hand because it was fun, bullshit. Do it. Thank you for brother your hands, and now you get your statue back. Good. There you go. That's for you, Mr. Beardman. Mr. Terrifying Beardman. I know we always I did not see beyond like this far, so please give me a thumbs up or a finger. Here's the commitment, and here's the action. I'm telling you, it is solo and so easy. Everyone raise your hand. I want you to take 2 simple steps. The next time you can, next time you're in office, first thing you must do is drive to your bank and set up a savings account. Okay? It will take a good hour of your time, but it will change your life permanently. Go to your bank and set up a savings account and nickname it Profit. That's step 1. Okay? We're done. That's easy. Step 2 is even easier. Starting immediately, take 1% of your income. 1% of your income and start allocating to the profit account. That's it. I'm saying if $1,000 comes in today, take $10 and put in your profit account. Because here's what I know. It is hard to argue that if you can run a business off $1,000 that you can't run off $990, it's inconsequential. It's nothing. But what is highly consequential is you're going to start seeing this profit account start accumulating a little bit of money. We are so blessed now, Mike. We just got reported over 110,000 companies have implemented Profit First. We have over 200,000. Thank you. Thank you. Here, thank you. Thank you. So, wait a minute. All right, now that turns to thank you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. All right. We have 3,000 case studies, and here's what we found. Businesses that were going in all out had actually a great failure rate. So many struggles. Businesses that started the way I just told you, the success rate is off the charts. Because here's what happens to those businesses, and I know what happens to you. You'll have a little bit of money dribbling in here, and you'll log into your bank account like you always do. You'll see the profit there and say, what if I try 2%? And automatically you'll start doing more, and then 3, and then 10, and start rolling out the system. And listen, you will not get rich overnight, but you'll have profit immediately overnight, and it's just a matter of time before you have a more profitable business than you could have ever imagined. My final thought is this. We have been given a lot of crap. Profit does not come last. What comes last gets ignored. All you have to do, now you know it now, is take your profit first, because what comes first gets done. Thank you very much.
That's it.